Have you ever lain awake at night, replaying a conversation in your mind, wondering what you could have said differently? Or spent hours worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet, imagining every possible outcome? If so, you're not alone. Overthinking has become a silent epidemic of our time, gripping minds and stealing peace from millions of people every day. It's like being caught in a storm that never seems to pass, a constant cycle of what-ifs and if-onlys. But what if there was a way out? A way to still the storm and find clarity amid the chaos? The Buddha once taught, "Our life is shaped by our mind, for we become what we think." These profound words hold a key truth. The power to overcome overthinking does not lie in trying to control everything around us, but in transforming how we relate to our thoughts. Imagine, just for a moment, that your mind is a still pond. Overthinking is like tossing stones into the water, creating endless ripples that disturb its natural calm. Buddhist practice doesn't aim to stop the stones from coming. After all, life will always throw challenges your way. Instead, it teaches us to cultivate awareness, so the water of our minds remains clear and steady, no matter what happens. In today's fast-paced world, where distractions are endless and the pressure to keep up feels relentless, it's no wonder our minds are often in overdrive. We're bombarded by notifications, expectations, and an overwhelming amount of information, all pulling our attention in different directions. It's easy to lose ourselves in this whirlwind, trapped in overthinking about the past or worrying about the future. But Buddhist teachings offer a refuge, a path to step back, breathe, and reconnect with the present moment. In this video, we'll uncover 10 transformative Buddhist practices designed to help you stop overthinking and regain control of your mental space. These teachings are not abstract philosophies. They're practical tools you can use every day to calm your mind, find peace, and live with greater clarity and purpose. We'll explore how to recognize thoughts as fleeting and temporary, how to embrace gratitude to shift your perspective, and how to let go of the attachment to outcomes that often fuels our anxieties. We'll also dive into simple yet profound practices like mindfulness, breaking overwhelming problems into smaller steps, and seeking wisdom from others when we feel stuck in our own heads. But this isn't just about learning techniques, it's about transformation. By the end of this video, you won't just understand these principles intellectually, you'll have practical steps to integrate them into your daily life. You'll discover that peace isn't something you need to chase. It's already within you, waiting to be uncovered. So, let's start right here, right now. Take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, exhale fully. Let go of the noise, the distractions, and the worries just for this moment. Together, we'll journey through these timeless teachings and uncover a new way to navigate the challenges of the mind. Are you ready? Let's begin. 1. Recognize thoughts as temporary. The Buddhist teachings gently remind us that impermanence is the essence of life. Just as the sun rises and sets, as flowers bloom and wither, so too do our thoughts come and go. Yet, how often do we find ourselves clutching onto a single thought as if it holds the key to our entire existence? Overthinking often begins this way. A fleeting worry takes root, and we treat it as if it's carved in stone, something we must solve, fix, or carry forever. But this is a misconception, a misunderstanding of the nature of the mind. Thoughts, like the seasons, are never meant to stay. Think of a crisp autumn day, with leaves dancing in the wind. Some leaves are bright and vibrant, while others are faded and torn. Your thoughts are like those leaves, each unique, but none permanent. Yet, we often behave as though we must gather all these leaves, examine them endlessly, and never let them fall to the ground. Overthinking thrives on this attachment. We don't let the leaves drift away. We collect them, sort them, and hold on to them long after they've served their purpose. But what if we didn't? What if we allowed them to float away, trusting that new leaves will take their place in time? This is where mindfulness, one of the Buddha's core teachings, comes into play. When we understand that our thoughts are not fixed but fluid, we free ourselves from the grip of overthinking. Imagine the mind as a vast sky and your thoughts as clouds. Some clouds are heavy with rain, looming and dark, while others are light and fluffy, passing quickly. No matter how imposing a cloud may seem, it never stays forever. It drifts, changes shape, and eventually dissolves. The sky, the core of who you are, remains untouched. This is the reality of our thoughts. They only linger and grow when we attach meaning or urgency to them. When you feel yourself caught in the grip of overthinking, take a moment to pause and observe your thoughts without judgment. Close your eyes and picture them as leaves floating down a gentle stream. Some may be vibrant, drawing your attention, while others may appear dull or torn. Watch as they move with the current, carried away without effort. You don't need to reach into the water to catch them. You only need to observe. This simple yet profound exercise reminds us that thoughts are transient, like guests who visit but never stay. Sometimes, our minds treat thoughts as if they are emergencies, demanding immediate attention. A worry about tomorrow's meeting feels as urgent as a fire alarm, and we respond with panic. But if you step back, you'll see that the thought itself is neutral. It is our reaction that amplifies its intensity. By learning to recognize a thought as just a thought, you strip it of its power. It becomes what it truly is, a temporary ripple on the surface of your mind. The Buddha often used metaphors to teach these truths. One such metaphor is that of a monkey swinging from branch to branch, restless and chaotic. Our thoughts are like this monkey, leaping from one concern to another, rarely still. But the monkey does not define the tree, just as your thoughts do not define you. They are a part of your experience, but not the totality of who you are. When you realize this, you can watch the monkey without getting tangled in its movements. Overthinking can feel like being lost in a dense fog. The more you try to find your way out, the thicker the fog seems to become. But when you stop struggling and simply stand still, the fog begins to lift. Recognizing thoughts as temporary works in the same way. By resisting the urge to wrestle with them, you allow them to dissipate on their own. This doesn't mean ignoring your thoughts, but acknowledging them for what they are, momentary flashes of the mind, not eternal truths. This understanding also helps us let go of the need to solve every thought. Not every question has an answer, and not every worry needs resolution. Sometimes, the act of holding on to a thought, dissecting it from every angle, is what keeps it alive. Letting go doesn't mean suppressing or denying your thoughts. It means allowing them to exist without clinging to them. It's a practice of trust, trusting that your mind will naturally find clarity when you give it space. In practice, this might look like sitting quietly and noticing your thoughts as they arise. You might observe a worry about the future, a regret about the past, or a fleeting idea that seems urgent. Instead of engaging with these thoughts, simply label them, "This is worry," or "This is regret." Then, visualize placing that thought on a leaf and letting it float away. It's not about pushing the thought away, but gently releasing it, trusting that the river will carry it where it needs to go. Over time, this practice creates a profound shift. You begin to see that your thoughts are not you. They are visitors, not residents. They come and go, but the essence of who you are, the calm, clear sky, remains unchanged. This realization is liberating. It allows you to experience your thoughts without being consumed by them. It teaches you that peace is not the absence of thoughts, but the ability to let them pass without resistance. By practicing this regularly, you develop a kind of mental resilience. The next time you find yourself overthinking, you'll have the tools to step back, observe, and let go. You'll realize that no thought is permanent, no matter how heavy it feels in the moment. Just as clouds drift across the sky and leaves float down a stream, your thoughts will always move on, leaving the stillness of your mind intact. 2. Cultivate mindfulness of the present moment. As we begin to recognize thoughts as temporary, a natural question arises. How do we bring our awareness back to the present moment, where life is truly unfolding? This is where mindfulness becomes not just a practice but a way of living. At its core, mindfulness is the art of fully inhabiting the now, the here, and the real. It is the antidote to overthinking because it redirects the mind from an endless loop of regrets and worries to the tangible experience of the present. Overthinking acts like a thief, silently stealing the richness of the moment. Think about it. How often have you found yourself physically present but mentally elsewhere? Perhaps you're sharing a meal with loved ones, but your mind is replaying an argument from earlier in the day or anticipating tomorrow's tasks. The meal, the laughter, the warmth of connection, they all fade into the background, overshadowed by the noise in your head. Overthinking traps us in a state of absence, where life passes by unnoticed. Mindfulness offers us a way to reclaim those moments and make them meaningful again. The Buddha taught that the present is all we truly possess. The past is gone, its lessons etched into memory, and the future is yet to arrive. A canvas of infinite possibilities. What exists right now is all we have, and to overlook it is to miss the only life we are actually living. By practicing mindfulness, we ground ourselves in the reality of the present, breaking free from the pull of past regrets and future anxieties. It's not about erasing thoughts or forcing silence, but about cultivating a gentle awareness of what is happening right now. Imagine holding a glass of water in your hand. Overthinking is like shaking the glass continuously, creating ripples and disturbances. Mindfulness, on the other hand, is the act of placing the glass on a still surface and watching as the ripples fade. The water becomes clear, allowing you to see through it once again. When you bring your attention to the present moment, the mind naturally begins to settle. The chatter quiets, clarity returns, and you rediscover the beauty of what is in front of you. Mindfulness begins with something as simple and natural as the breath. The breath is always with us, an anchor that connects us to life itself. It requires no effort, no special tools, just a willingness to pay attention. The next time you feel the weight of overthinking, pause for a moment. Close your eyes if you can and take a deep breath. Notice how the air feels as it enters your nostrils, cool and refreshing, and how it warms as you exhale. Pay attention to the gentle rise and fall of your chest or the subtle movement of your abdomen. Each breath is an invitation to return to the present, to let go of the mental noise and simply be. This practice may sound simple, but it is transformative. The act of focusing on your breath does more than calm the mind. It creates space. In that space, you find freedom from the thoughts that once seemed so consuming. It's not that the thoughts disappear entirely, but they lose their power over you. They become like passing clouds in the sky, present but no longer obstructing the light. Mindfulness extends beyond breathing. It can be woven into the fabric of everyday life, transforming even the most mundane tasks into moments of presence. Imagine eating a meal mindfully. Instead of rushing through it or multitasking, take a moment to truly engage with the experience. Notice the colors, textures, and aromas of the food before you. As you take a bite, savor the flavors and feel the texture as you chew. This simple act of eating mindfully not only enhances your enjoyment, but also grounds you firmly in the present moment. Walking can also be a powerful mindfulness practice. The next time you find yourself walking, whether it's in nature or down a city street, slow down and bring your awareness to each step. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your movement, and the sensations in your body. Notice the world around you, the rustle of leaves, the warmth of the sun, or the coolness of the breeze. Walking mindfully transforms an ordinary activity into a sacred practice, a way to reconnect with the now. Of course, mindfulness is not always easy, especially when the mind is restless or preoccupied. There will be times when you sit down to focus on your breath, only to find your mind wandering within seconds. This is normal. The practice of mindfulness is not about achieving perfect concentration, but about gently returning to the present each time your mind strays. Think of it as training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you don't scold it. You simply guide it back with patience and kindness. Your mind deserves the same compassion. One of the most profound effects of mindfulness is the way it changes your relationship with time. Overthinking often arises from feeling trapped in the past or overwhelmed by the future. Mindfulness dissolves this illusion. It reminds you that life is not something to chase or escape. It is happening right here, right now. This shift in perspective is liberating. It allows you to approach challenges with clarity, relationships with presence, and your own thoughts with equanimity. As you cultivate mindfulness, you'll begin to notice subtle changes. You may find yourself responding to situations rather than reacting impulsively. You may discover a newfound appreciation for the small joys of life, a child's laughter, the scent of fresh rain, or the feeling of warmth in a hug. These moments, though often overlooked, are the threads that weave the fabric of a meaningful life. Mindfulness is not a destination but a journey, one that unfolds moment by moment. It invites you to slow down, to breathe, and to experience life fully. Each time you bring your attention back to the present, you are practicing mindfulness, and each time you practice, you strengthen your ability to live with intention and awareness. It's a simple yet profound way to quiet the noise of overthinking and reconnect with the beauty of being alive. By cultivating mindfulness, you reclaim your power to choose where your attention goes. You learn to let go of the stories your mind creates and instead immerse yourself in the reality of the present. Over time, this practice becomes a sanctuary, a place of peace and clarity where the noise of the world cannot reach you. In this sanctuary, you find not only relief from overthinking, but also the joy and wonder of truly living. 3. Embrace impermanence and let go. As we continue on this journey of understanding and working with the mind, the practice of mindfulness naturally leads us to a deeper truth: impermanence. Just as mindfulness invites us to return to the present moment, the awareness of impermanence teaches us to approach that moment with a sense of openness and ease. Everything in life is constantly changing: our thoughts, our emotions, and the circumstances we encounter. Yet, so often, overthinking arises from our inability to accept this fundamental truth. We cling tightly to our worries, as if holding them will somehow keep us safe, or we replay painful memories, as if revisiting them might change their outcome. But the reality is that nothing, not even our most persistent thoughts, lasts forever. Impermanence can be both a source of anxiety and a profound relief. It's unsettling to realize that nothing is permanent, not our joys, not our struggles, not even the people we hold dear. Yet, within this realization lies the key to letting go. When we understand that everything is in a state of flux, we begin to see our thoughts for what they truly are: temporary waves on the vast ocean of our mind. A wave may rise, crest, and crash, but it always recedes, making way for the next. This is the nature of our inner experience, and resisting it only creates unnecessary suffering. Overthinking thrives on the illusion of permanence. It convinces us that our worries are fixed, immovable objects that demand our constant attention. A small problem grows in our minds until it feels like an unscalable mountain. But when we pause and remind ourselves of impermanence, the mountain begins to shrink. We see that our thoughts, like clouds in the sky, are not solid or permanent. They are simply passing phenomena, shaped by the winds of our experience and destined to dissipate. The act of letting go is not about suppressing or denying our thoughts and emotions. It's about acknowledging them and allowing them to move on. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip it, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you open your hand and let the sand rest lightly, it stays in place without resistance. Letting go works in the same way. It's a practice of softening, of releasing our mental grip on the things that no longer serve us. One way to cultivate this practice is by using a simple mantra: "This too shall pass." These 4 words carry a timeless wisdom, reminding us that nothing is permanent. The next time you find yourself fixating on a worry or a negative thought, pause and take a deep breath. Repeat the mantra to yourself, and visualize the thought dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Feel the tension in your mind begin to ease as you embrace the transient nature of your experience. This practice is especially powerful when paired with visualization. Close your eyes and imagine your thoughts as leaves floating on a river. Watch as each leaf drifts away, carried by the current. Some leaves may linger longer than others, but eventually, they all disappear from view. This exercise reinforces the understanding that you are not your thoughts, they are just passing through, like travelers on a journey. Understanding impermanence also helps us navigate difficult emotions. When we feel sadness, anger, or fear, it's easy to believe that these feelings will last forever. But emotions, like everything else, are impermanent. They rise and fall, come and go. The next time you're overwhelmed by a strong emotion, try to observe it with curiosity rather than resistance. Ask yourself, where do I feel this emotion in my body? How does it change from moment to moment? By shifting your focus from the story behind the emotion to its physical sensations, you create space for the emotion to move through you naturally. Letting go also applies to our attachment to outcomes. We often overthink because we're trying to control or predict the future. We replay scenarios in our minds, searching for the perfect solution or the guarantee of success. But the truth is, we can't control everything. The Buddha taught that clinging to expectations only leads to suffering. When we release our attachment to specific outcomes, we free ourselves to live more fully in the present. Consider this. When you plant a seed, you can water it, give it sunlight, and tend to the soil, but you cannot force it to grow. The seed will sprout and flourish in its own time. In the same way, you can give your best effort to any situation, but the outcome is beyond your control. By letting go of the need for certainty, you allow life to unfold naturally, without the weight of overthinking. This perspective can be incredibly freeing. It shifts your focus from what you cannot control to what you can. Instead of dwelling on the uncertainty of the future, you can channel your energy into the present moment, into the actions and choices that are within your power. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals or responsibilities. It means approaching them with a sense of balance and trust, rather than fear and attachment. Impermanence is not just a concept to understand intellectually. It's a truth to be experienced in every aspect of life. Watch the changing seasons, the rise and fall of the tides, or the way the light shifts throughout the day. These natural rhythms mirror the impermanence within us. When we align ourselves with this flow, we stop fighting against reality and begin to find peace. Through the practice of embracing impermanence, we cultivate a deeper sense of resilience. We learn to navigate life's ups and downs with grace, knowing that no state of mind, no circumstance, is permanent. This awareness doesn't make challenges disappear, but it changes the way we respond to them. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the waves of life, we learn to ride them with equanimity. Letting go is not an act of weakness, it's an act of courage. It takes strength to release what no longer serves us and trust in the natural flow of life. But the rewards are profound. When we let go, we create space for new possibilities. We free ourselves from the burden of overthinking and open our hearts to the present moment. As you continue to explore this practice, remember that letting go is a journey, not a destination. It's a skill that grows with time and intention. Each time you release a thought, a worry, or an attachment, you take one step closer to the freedom and clarity that the Buddha spoke of. And with each step, you discover that impermanence is not something to fear but something to embrace, a reminder that life, in all its fleeting beauty, is meant to be lived fully. 4. Set boundaries with worry. As we explore the practice of letting go, the next step is to cultivate a sense of structure in how we approach our thoughts, especially our worries. While impermanence teaches us that nothing lasts forever, worry often feels like the exception, a persistent visitor that overstays its welcome, disrupting our peace and focus. It doesn't knock or ask permission, it simply barges in, demanding our attention. But just as the Buddha taught the importance of mindfulness and impermanence, he also emphasized discipline as a tool to manage the mind. By setting boundaries with worry, we regain a sense of control and create space for clarity. Worry thrives in an unstructured mind. When we allow it to roam freely, it can consume our energy and attention, showing up at the most inconvenient moments. Perhaps you're trying to enjoy time with family, but a nagging thought about unfinished work pulls you away from the moment. Or maybe you're lying in bed, ready for rest, only to find your mind racing with concerns about the future. This is the nature of worry. It's relentless when left unchecked. However, when we introduce boundaries, we remind ourselves that worry doesn't have to dominate our lives. Setting boundaries with worry doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing it. On the contrary, it's about giving worry a designated space where it can be acknowledged and addressed. Think of it like inviting that uninvited guest to a specific room in your home rather than allowing them to wander freely. One effective way to do this is by creating a worry period, a set time each day dedicated solely to your concerns. This approach not only helps you compartmentalize your thoughts, but also teaches your mind that there's a time and place for everything. Imagine setting aside 20 minutes each afternoon as your worry period. During this time, you sit quietly with a notebook and allow yourself to focus entirely on your worries. Write them down, no matter how big or small they may seem. Perhaps you're worried about a project deadline, a strained relationship, or a health concern. By putting these worries on paper, you externalize them, creating a sense of distance between you and your thoughts. This simple act can be incredibly freeing, as it shifts your perspective and helps you see your worries more objectively. Once your worries are written down, take a moment to explore them further. Ask yourself questions like, what exactly am I worried about? Is this something within my control? What steps, if any, can I take to address this concern? Often, the act of examining your worries reveals that many of them are less urgent or significant than they initially appeared. Some may even dissolve under the light of awareness. Much like a shadow recedes when you turn on a lamp. When your 20 minutes are up, close your notebook and consciously shift your focus to something else. This could be a walk, a creative activity, or spending time with loved ones, anything that re-engages your attention in the present moment. The key here is to fully commit to leaving your worries behind for the rest of the day, knowing that you've already given them their due time. Over time, this practice helps you build a mental boundary, reducing the power that worry has over your thoughts and actions. Creating a worry period is a form of mental training. It's like teaching your mind a new habit, one that encourages balance and perspective. At first, your worries may resist being confined to a specific time. They're used to running free, after all. But with patience and consistency, your mind will adapt, and you'll find it easier to let go of worries outside the designated period. This doesn't mean you'll never experience worry again, but it does mean you'll have the tools to manage it more effectively. There's a deeper wisdom in this practice as well. By setting boundaries with worry, you cultivate trust in yourself and in the flow of life. You begin to see that not every thought or concern demands immediate attention. Some worries resolve themselves without intervention, while others become clearer with time. When you learn to hold your worries lightly, you create space for insights and solutions to emerge naturally. This approach aligns beautifully with the Buddhist teachings on non-attachment. Worry often stems from a desire to control outcomes or avoid uncertainty. But when we cling to these desires, we become entangled in overthinking, unable to see the situation clearly. By setting boundaries with worry, we practice non-attachment, not by ignoring our concerns, but by recognizing that they don't define us. We honor their presence without allowing them to take over. Another benefit of this practice is that it enhances your ability to be present. When worry no longer dominates your mind, you're free to engage more fully with the people and experiences around you. You might notice the warmth of the sun on your skin, the laughter of a friend, or the taste of your morning coffee, all the small, beautiful moments that worry often obscures. This is the gift of setting boundaries. It allows you to reclaim your life, one moment at a time. It's important to approach this practice with kindness and patience. There will be days when worry feels overwhelming, when it spills out of its designated time and seeps into other parts of your day. That's okay. The goal is not perfection but progress. Each time you gently guide your mind back to the present, you strengthen your ability to manage worry with wisdom and compassion. Over time, you may find that the worry period itself evolves. What once felt like a necessity may become less frequent or even unnecessary. As your relationship with worry transforms, you'll develop a deeper sense of trust in your ability to navigate life's challenges without becoming consumed by them. This is the essence of setting boundaries with worry, not avoiding life's difficulties, but meeting them with clarity, balance, and a calm mind. As you continue to practice, remember that this is an act of self-care. Setting boundaries with worry is not about denying your humanity or suppressing your emotions. It's about creating space for peace and presence to flourish. When you give your worries a time and place, you take an important step toward living with greater freedom and joy. And in that freedom, you find the strength to embrace life fully, just as it is. 5. break problems into manageable steps. When life presents us with a challenge that feels immense, our minds often react by magnifying its size even further. The more we dwell on the problem, the larger and more insurmountable it seems. Overthinking thrives in this space of overwhelm, feeding on the sheer magnitude of what lies ahead. It paralyzes us, convincing us that no action is possible because the task is simply too great. But the Buddhist principle of right effort, part of the Noble Eightfold Path, offers a profoundly practical antidote to this paralysis. It teaches us to approach our goals with care, intention, and the understanding that progress is made one step at a time. Think of the tallest mountain you can imagine. At first glance, it appears impossible to climb. The peak seems unreachable, the journey too long. But every climber knows that the secret to reaching the summit is not focusing on the entire mountain. It's taking one step forward, then another, and another. Each small step, taken with mindfulness and purpose, becomes part of the larger journey. This perspective transforms what once felt impossible into something achievable. When faced with a daunting challenge, the first question to ask yourself is not, "How will I ever finish this?" but rather, "What is the smallest step I can take right now?" This shift in focus moves you away from the overwhelm of the big picture and toward actionable progress. It redirects your energy from overthinking to doing, from being stuck to moving forward. Imagine you're tasked with completing a large project at work. The deadline looms, and the list of tasks feels endless. Instead of trying to tackle everything at once, start small. Maybe the first step is as simple as opening your laptop and organizing your materials, or writing a single sentence. These actions may seem insignificant in the face of the larger goal, but they are powerful. Each small step creates momentum, and momentum is what carries you forward. The beauty of breaking problems into manageable steps is that it not only makes the challenge less intimidating but also builds confidence. Each step you take is a small victory, a reminder that progress is possible. This sense of accomplishment motivates you to take the next step, and then the next. Over time, what once felt overwhelming becomes a series of achievable tasks, each building on the one before it. This approach is not just practical, it's deeply aligned with Buddhist teachings. The Buddha understood that life's challenges, whether external or internal, cannot be resolved all at once. Transformation is a gradual process, made up of countless small efforts. Right effort is about engaging with each step fully, without becoming consumed by the end result. It's about being present in the process, trusting that each action contributes to the greater whole. Consider the story of a monk sweeping the temple grounds. The task seems endless, leaves fall continuously, and the wind scatters them in every direction. But the monk doesn't focus on clearing the entire temple at once. Instead, he focuses on sweeping one small section at a time. With each stroke of the broom, he is fully present, finding peace in the act itself. Over time, the entire temple is swept clean, not because he tried to do it all at once, but because he approached the task with patience and intention. You can apply this same principle to any challenge in your life. If you're studying for an exam, focus on reviewing one chapter rather than worrying about the entire syllabus. If you're preparing for a major life transition, identify one immediate action you can take, such as making a phone call or gathering information. Each small effort contributes to the larger goal, and each success reinforces your ability to keep moving forward. Breaking problems into manageable steps also helps quiet the mind. Overthinking often arises when we try to hold the entire problem in our heads at once. It's like trying to carry a heavy load all at once instead of breaking it into smaller, lighter pieces. When you divide the challenge into smaller tasks, you reduce the mental strain and create space for clarity. You can focus on one thing at a time, knowing that the rest will be addressed in due course. This approach is especially helpful when dealing with emotional challenges. If you're feeling overwhelmed by grief, anxiety, or uncertainty, it can be tempting to try to solve your emotions all at once. But emotions, like tasks, need to be approached step by step. Start by identifying what you're feeling. Then, consider one small action that might bring comfort or relief. Whether it's reaching out to a friend, taking a walk, or simply sitting quietly with your breath. Each step creates a sense of movement, a way forward. It's important to approach this process with compassion for yourself. There will be times when even the smallest step feels difficult, and that's okay. Progress is not always linear. Some days you'll take several steps forward, and other days you may need to pause and rest. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep engaging with the process, and keep taking steps, no matter how small. Breaking problems into manageable steps also helps us cultivate patience. In a world that often prioritizes instant results, it can be challenging to embrace the slower, more deliberate path. But the most meaningful achievements in life, the ones that bring lasting fulfillment, are rarely accomplished overnight. They are the result of sustained effort, patience, and persistence. Each step, no matter how small, is a part of that journey. As you practice this approach, you'll begin to notice a shift in your mindset. Challenges that once felt overwhelming will start to feel more manageable. You'll develop a sense of trust in your ability to navigate difficulties, knowing that you don't have to tackle everything at once. You'll find that even the most daunting mountains can be climbed, one step at a time. This practice is not just about achieving goals. It's about transforming the way you relate to challenges. It's about finding peace in the process and recognizing that each step, no matter how small, is an act of progress. And as you continue to take those steps, you'll discover a sense of resilience and strength you may not have known you had. Overthinking loses its grip when you break problems into manageable steps because you're no longer stuck in the abstract. You're engaged in action, moving forward with intention and care. 6. Practice gratitude. As we move forward from breaking problems into manageable steps, another transformative practice emerges, a practice that shifts not only our actions but also the very lens through which we view life. Gratitude, though seemingly simple, holds the power to quiet the noise of overthinking and bring clarity to the mind. Overthinking often thrives in a state of lack. It fixates on what's missing, what could go wrong, or what hasn't yet been achieved. This creates a mental loop of dissatisfaction, where even the smallest worry can snowball into a mountain of imagined problems. Gratitude interrupts this cycle, bringing the mind back to the abundance that is already present. The Buddha taught that true joy does not come from constantly striving for more, but from recognizing and appreciating what we already have. It is a profound yet often overlooked truth. In a world that encourages us to always look ahead, to the next goal, the next milestone, the next possession, gratitude invites us to pause and reflect on the gifts that are already ours. This isn't about settling or denying our aspirations. It's about finding balance. Gratitude grounds us in the present, reminding us that while there may be challenges, there is also beauty, kindness, and wonder all around us. Imagine a glass of water sitting before you. Overthinking sees the glass as half empty, focusing on what's missing. Gratitude, on the other hand, sees the water that is there and appreciates its clarity, its coolness, its ability to quench thirst. It doesn't deny the absence of more water. It simply chooses to value what exists. This shift in perspective may seem small, but its effects are profound. When we cultivate gratitude, we train our minds to look for the positive, even in difficult situations. We begin to see that life is not defined solely by its hardships, but also by its blessings. Gratitude is a practice, not just a feeling. It requires intention and consistency. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to cultivate gratitude is by setting aside a few moments each day to reflect on what you're thankful for. This can be done in the evening, as the day winds down. Sit quietly with a journal or a piece of paper and write down 3 things you're grateful for. These don't have to be grand or extraordinary. In fact, some of the most meaningful moments of gratitude come from the simplest things: a warm cup of tea, the laughter of a child, or the way sunlight filters through the trees. As you write, allow yourself to fully feel the gratitude for each item on your list. Recall the warmth of that tea, the sound of that laughter, the beauty of that sunlight. This deepens the experience, anchoring it in your mind and heart. Over time, this practice rewires your brain, making it more attuned to the positive aspects of your life. Instead of automatically focusing on worries and shortcomings, your mind begins to notice the small joys and blessings that might otherwise go unnoticed. Gratitude also has a unique way of putting things into perspective. When we focus on what we have, we often realize that many of our worries are less significant than they seemed. For example, you might be stressed about an upcoming deadline at work, but in the act of reflecting on your gratitude, you might remember the support of a colleague who offered to help, the comfort of a home where you can focus, or the opportunities that your work provides. These reflections don't erase the challenge of the deadline, but they balance it with a sense of appreciation and support. This practice is not just for moments of ease. It is especially powerful during times of difficulty. When life feels overwhelming, gratitude can serve as a lifeline, a way to reconnect with the good that still exists. Even in the midst of hardship, there are often small lights to be found: a kind word from a friend, the resilience of your own spirit, or the simple fact that you've made it through another day. By acknowledging these moments, you remind yourself that no matter how heavy life feels, there is always something to hold on to. Gratitude also deepens our connections with others. When we express gratitude, whether silently or directly, we strengthen the bonds that tie us to the people around us. Think of a time when someone offered you kindness, a helping hand, a word of encouragement, or simply their presence. Reflecting on that moment not only fills you with appreciation, but also reinforces the importance of those connections. When you take the time to thank someone, you share that sense of gratitude with them, creating a ripple effect of positivity. In this way, gratitude becomes a practice of both giving and receiving. It is not just about what we feel internally, but also about how we interact with the world. It encourages us to move through life with a sense of openness and generosity, recognizing the interconnectedness of all things. The Buddha often spoke of this interconnectedness, reminding us that the joy we cultivate within ourselves naturally extends outward, touching the lives of others. Over time, gratitude transforms the way we experience life. It doesn't eliminate challenges or make every day easy, but it shifts the balance. It reminds us that even in the midst of uncertainty, there is much to be thankful for. This shift is especially powerful for quieting overthinking. When our minds are preoccupied with gratitude, there is less room for worry to take hold. Gratitude fills the space with warmth, contentment, and a sense of peace. As you continue this practice, you may find that it changes not just your perspective, but also your priorities. Gratitude helps us see what truly matters, not the endless pursuit of more, but the simple, meaningful moments that make life rich and beautiful. It teaches us that joy is not something to be chased. It is something to be found in the present, waiting to be noticed. Let this practice of gratitude be a part of your daily life. Each time you sit down to reflect on what you're thankful for, you take a step toward quieting the noise of overthinking and reconnecting with the abundance around you. In doing so, you create a foundation of joy and contentment that carries you through life's ups and downs, reminding you that even in the hardest moments, there is always something to be grateful for. 7. Act without attachment to outcomes. As we embrace gratitude and begin to quiet the noise of overthinking, a deeper understanding of control and effort naturally emerges. So often, our worries stem from a fixation on outcomes, the results we hope for, fear, or feel we must achieve. This attachment to results becomes the breeding ground for overthinking, as we endlessly question whether our actions will lead to success or avoid failure. But the Buddhist teaching of non-attachment offers a profound remedy. It reminds us that while we have control over our actions and intentions, we do not have control over the outcomes they produce. This truth is both humbling and liberating, freeing us from the unnecessary weight we place on our shoulders. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. You can prepare the soil, water the seed, and ensure it gets the sunlight it needs. These are actions within your control, but you cannot force the seed to sprout or guarantee it will grow into the plant you envisioned. The process of growth lies beyond your influence, shaped by forces larger than yourself. This is the essence of acting without attachment to outcomes. It's about giving your best effort to the things you can control and trusting that the results will unfold as they are meant to, even if they differ from your expectations. Fear of failure and the uncertainty of the future often keep us trapped in cycles of overthinking. We analyze, plan, and second-guess, hoping to predict or manipulate the outcome. But this constant mental activity rarely brings clarity. Instead, it creates a sense of paralysis, where the fear of making a mistake outweighs the desire to take action. When we become overly attached to results, we lose sight of the present moment, where our efforts and intentions truly matter. To act without attachment to outcomes does not mean being indifferent or careless. On the contrary, it requires deep intention and sincerity. It's about pouring your heart into what you do, knowing that your responsibility ends with the effort itself. The result is a byproduct, not the sole measure of your worth or success. This shift in perspective transforms how we approach tasks, relationships, and challenges. It allows us to focus on the process rather than becoming consumed by the end result. Before beginning any task, take a moment to set an intention. Ask yourself, what is within my control here? And what effort can I give that aligns with my values and goals? This simple act grounds you in the present, reminding you that your power lies in your actions, not in guaranteeing a specific outcome. As you move forward, remind yourself, I can only control my actions, not the result. This mantra is a gentle yet firm reminder to release the grip of overthinking and trust in the process. Consider the story of a potter shaping clay on a wheel. The potter's hands are skilled, guiding the clay with care and precision. Yet, despite their expertise, the final shape of the pot is not entirely predictable. A small variation in pressure or an unexpected movement can alter the outcome. The potter understands this, focusing on the joy and artistry of shaping the clay rather than becoming fixated on achieving a perfect result. This acceptance of uncertainty allows the potter to work with freedom and creativity, embracing the imperfections as part of the beauty. In our own lives, we can adopt this same mindset, whether we're working on a project, navigating a difficult conversation, or pursuing a personal goal. We can approach the task with intention and effort while letting go of the need to control the outcome. This doesn't mean we stop caring about results. It means we stop letting them dictate our sense of self-worth or success. When we detach from outcomes, we free ourselves to fully engage with the present moment, where our efforts hold the most power. This practice is especially important in relationships. When we interact with others, it's natural to hope for a certain response, appreciation, understanding, or agreement, but the reactions of others are beyond our control. By focusing on the sincerity of our actions, whether it's offering kindness, expressing our feelings, or setting boundaries, we can navigate relationships with authenticity and peace. The outcome, whether it meets our expectations or not, becomes secondary to the integrity of our intentions. Acting without attachment to outcomes also fosters resilience. When we tie our happiness or self-worth to specific results, any deviation from those expectations can feel like failure. But when we measure success by the quality of our effort rather than the outcome, we build a sense of inner stability. We recognize that our value is not determined by external circumstances, but by how we show up in the world. This resilience allows us to face challenges with courage, knowing that even if things don't go as planned, we've done our best. There is also a profound sense of freedom in this practice. When we release our attachment to results, we let go of the fear of failure. We become more willing to take risks, try new things, and embrace the unknown. This openness to life's uncertainties is where growth and transformation happen. It's where we discover that the journey itself holds more value than the destination. Over time, acting without attachment to outcomes becomes a way of living. It permeates every aspect of our lives, from the smallest tasks to the most significant decisions. It teaches us to trust in the natural flow of life, to accept that not everything is within our control, and to find peace in that acceptance. This doesn't mean we abandon our goals or aspirations. It means we approach them with a sense of balance and perspective. We give our best effort and then let go, knowing that we've done all we can. This practice also aligns with the Buddhist teaching of impermanence. Just as everything in life is temporary, so too are the outcomes we seek. Success and failure, joy and sorrow, They all come and go, like waves on the ocean. By releasing our attachment to these transient results, we cultivate a deeper sense of equanimity. We learn to navigate life's ups and downs with grace, finding peace in the effort itself rather than in the outcome. As you embrace this practice, you may notice a shift in how you approach challenges and opportunities. Tasks that once felt daunting or overwhelming become more manageable, as you focus on the actions within your control rather than the uncertain results. Relationships become richer and more authentic, as you prioritize sincerity over expectation. And perhaps most importantly, you find a sense of freedom and ease, knowing that your worth is not tied to any outcome but to the integrity of your effort. Let this be your reminder. Life is not about perfect results, but about meaningful actions. Each step you take with intention and care is a step toward growth, connection, and peace. And in letting go of the need to control the outcome, you open yourself to the beauty and possibility of the journey itself. 8. Embrace challenges as growth opportunities. As we begin to let go of attachment to outcomes, another profound realization emerges. Challenges, the very things we often dread or avoid, are not obstacles meant to stop us. They are, in fact, some of life's most powerful teachers. The Buddha understood this deeply, seeing every difficulty not as a barrier, but as an opportunity to grow. Challenges, though uncomfortable, offer us the chance to build resilience, deepen our understanding, and connect more fully with the present moment. When we shift our perspective, leaning into these experiences instead of resisting them, we begin to transform challenges into stepping stones. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most challenged. Perhaps it was a setback at work, a conflict in a relationship, or a personal goal that seemed impossibly out of reach. At the time, these moments likely felt overwhelming, even insurmountable. But as you look back now, how many of those same challenges taught you something valuable? How many pushed you to grow in ways you didn't expect? This is the paradox of difficulty. It feels like a burden in the moment, but often reveals itself to be a blessing in hindsight. Overthinking thrives in the space of discomfort. When faced with a challenge, our minds often race to find ways to avoid or escape it. We replay scenarios, anticipate worst-case outcomes, and convince ourselves that the discomfort is too much to bear. But the more we resist, the tighter the grip of overthinking becomes. Resisting discomfort doesn't make it disappear. It amplifies it, turning what might have been a fleeting moment into a persistent mental struggle. The key to breaking this cycle is not avoidance, but acceptance. By leaning into discomfort, we allow ourselves to experience it fully. And in doing so, we often find that it's far less daunting than we imagined. The practice of leaning into challenges begins with small, intentional acts of discomfort. These are opportunities to train the mind and body to sit with discomfort rather than flee from it. For example, you might start by taking a cold shower. The initial shock of cold water is undeniably uncomfortable, but as you breathe through it, you'll notice that the discomfort begins to fade. You build a tolerance, not just to the cold, but to the idea of discomfort itself. This practice mirrors the way we can approach larger challenges in life, with presence, patience, and a willingness to endure. Another way to embrace challenges is by pushing yourself slightly beyond your usual limits. If you're walking, take an extra mile. If you're meditating, sit for a few minutes longer than you typically would. These small acts of going beyond your comfort zone create a ripple effect. They teach you that you are capable of more than you think, and that discomfort, while unpleasant, is also temporary. Each time you step into discomfort willingly, you weaken the hold it has over you. This practice extends beyond physical challenges to emotional and mental ones as well. If there's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, consider leaning into it with compassion and curiosity. If there's a fear that's been holding you back, take a small step toward confronting it. These actions, though uncomfortable, help you build confidence and resilience. They show you that challenges are not as insurmountable as they appear, and that facing them often brings unexpected rewards. The Buddha often likened life's difficulties to a lotus flower. The lotus, a symbol of purity and enlightenment, grows out of muddy waters. Without the mud, the challenges and struggles, the lotus could not bloom. In the same way, our own growth is deeply intertwined with the challenges we face. They provide the conditions necessary for us to develop strength, wisdom, and compassion. When you encounter a challenge, try shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This question opens the door to growth and transforms the experience from one of resistance to one of curiosity. You begin to see the challenge not as something to fear, but as an opportunity to learn more about yourself and the world around you. It's also important to approach challenges with self-compassion. Leaning into discomfort doesn't mean forcing yourself to endure more than you can handle. It's about finding the balance between pushing your limits and honoring your needs. Be gentle with yourself as you navigate difficult moments, recognizing that growth is a process, not a destination. Some days you'll feel strong and capable, ready to face challenges head-on. Other days, you may need to rest and recharge. And that's okay. Growth happens in both effort and rest. Over time, this practice of embracing challenges reshapes the way you experience discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, you begin to see it as a natural part of life, one that holds the potential for transformation. You build a sense of trust in yourself, knowing that you can face whatever comes your way. And as you lean into discomfort, you'll notice that overthinking begins to fade. The mind, once consumed with avoidance and fear, becomes quieter, more focused, and more present. This shift in perspective doesn't just change how you approach challenges, it changes how you approach life. You start to see that every moment, even the difficult ones, holds the potential for growth and meaning. You develop a sense of gratitude for the challenges that come your way, recognizing them as opportunities to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. As you continue to embrace challenges as growth opportunities, you'll find that your relationship with discomfort transforms. It becomes less of an enemy and more of a teacher, guiding you toward greater resilience and self-awareness. And in that transformation, you'll discover a profound sense of freedom, the freedom to face life's uncertainties with courage and an open heart. 9. Reflect on the transience of life. As we learn to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, a deeper truth emerges, one that can transform how we experience not only difficulties, but life itself. This truth is the transience of all things. Life is fleeting, ever-changing, and impermanent. While this idea can initially feel unsettling, it also holds the power to liberate us from unnecessary worry and bring us closer to what truly matters. The Buddha taught that contemplating impermanence is not an act of despair but a gateway to gratitude, clarity, and presence. By reflecting on the transient nature of life, we begin to see our worries in a different light, allowing them to loosen their grip on our minds. Consider the nature of a river, flowing endlessly from one moment to the next. The water that touches your hand is never the same water twice. It moves, shifts, and transforms, just as our lives do. When we try to hold on to the river, to stop its flow, or cling to a single moment, we create tension and resistance. But when we accept its movement, we can experience its beauty and vitality without grasping. Life, like the river, is in constant motion. Every moment, every experience, and every challenge is part of this flow, and none of it stays forever. When we pause to truly contemplate this, something remarkable happens. Many of the worries that once consumed us begin to shrink. The things we agonize over, mistakes, missed opportunities, future uncertainties, start to feel less significant when placed against the vast backdrop of life's impermanence. This doesn't mean our problems don't matter, but it helps us see them in perspective. When we realize that even our most persistent worries are temporary, we can begin to let them go. The practice of reflecting on life's transience is not about ignoring our responsibilities or dismissing our challenges. Instead, it's about asking ourselves what truly deserves our attention. Imagine holding a worry in your mind. Perhaps it's about an argument you had or a deadline you're anxious about. Now ask yourself, will this worry matter a year from now? 5 years? 10? More often than not, the answer is no. This simple question helps us cut through the noise of overthinking and refocus on what holds lasting value. Contemplating impermanence also deepens our appreciation for the present moment. When we recognize that nothing lasts forever, not our joys, not our sorrows, not even our lives, we begin to see the preciousness of now. A sunset becomes more vivid when we remember that it will soon fade. A conversation with a loved one feels more meaningful when we realize that moments like these are finite. Far from making us fearful, this awareness brings a profound sense of gratitude and presence. It reminds us that the fleeting nature of life is not something to resist but something to embrace. This perspective can also help us navigate loss and change. When something we value is taken away, whether it's a relationship, a job, or a sense of certainty, it's natural to feel pain. But reflecting on impermanence can soften the edges of that pain. It reminds us that loss is not a failure but a part of life's rhythm. Just as the seasons change, so too do our circumstances. Each ending makes room for a new beginning, even if we can't see it right away. The Buddha often encouraged his followers to meditate on impermanence as a way to cultivate wisdom and peace. One common practice is to reflect on the fragility of life, not as a morbid exercise, but as a way to bring clarity to our priorities. Spend a moment each day contemplating this question. If today were my last day, how would I choose to live? This question doesn't mean we should abandon our responsibilities or live recklessly. Instead, it invites us to align our actions with what truly matters. It helps us let go of petty concerns and focus on the people, values, and experiences that bring meaning to our lives. This practice also connects us to the broader human experience. Impermanence is something we all share, regardless of our differences. It reminds us of our common humanity and encourages compassion. When we see that everyone around us is navigating the same transient world, we become more patient, more understanding, and more kind. The person who cuts us off in traffic, the coworker who seems difficult, the friend who disappoints us, they are all, like us, navigating the flow of impermanence. This perspective softens our judgments and opens our hearts. As we reflect on life's transience, we may also find a renewed sense of courage. When we accept that nothing is permanent, we stop fearing change and start embracing it. We become more willing to take risks, to try new things, and to let go of what no longer serves us. Impermanence, rather than being a source of anxiety, becomes a source of freedom. It reminds us that we are not bound by the past or limited by the present. We are always in motion, always evolving, always capable of beginning again. Over time, this practice transforms not only how we handle worry but how we live. It teaches us to prioritize connection over conflict, growth over stagnation, and presence over distraction. It invites us to savor the moments we have rather than lamenting the ones we've lost. And it reminds us that while life's impermanence may be beyond our control, how we respond to it is entirely within our power. The next time you find yourself caught in the grip of worry, take a moment to pause and reflect on the transient nature of life. Visualize your worry as a leaf floating down a stream, carried away by the current. Remind yourself that this moment, like all moments, will pass. With each breath, allow yourself to let go a little more, trusting in the flow of life. In this practice, you'll find not only relief from overthinking, but also a deeper sense of peace, gratitude, and connection to the present. 10. Seek support from a Sangha. As we navigate the teachings that help us find clarity and peace, one truth becomes increasingly clear. We are not meant to journey through life alone. While personal reflection and mindfulness are powerful tools, the Buddha emphasized the profound importance of community, what he called the Sangha. The Sangha, traditionally a community of practitioners walking the path together, serves as a source of support, inspiration, and shared wisdom. It reminds us that no matter how overwhelming our worries may feel, we are never truly alone. In our modern lives, the weight of overthinking often feels like a solitary struggle. We sit with our thoughts, turning them over and over in our minds, trying to solve problems that seem insurmountable. The isolation of this experience can make our worries feel heavier than they are. But the moment we share our thoughts with someone we trust, a remarkable shift occurs. The act of speaking aloud, of articulating what's on our minds, not only lightens the burden, but also helps us see our concerns more clearly. The Buddha understood this dynamic well. He taught that the Sangha is one of the three jewels of Buddhism. Alongside the Buddha and the Dharma, it's a pillar of support, a place where individuals come together to learn, grow, and uplift one another. Within a supportive community, we find validation, encouragement, and perspectives we might never have considered on our own. This sense of connection doesn't just ease the mind, it strengthens the heart, reminding us that our struggles are shared and our joys amplified when experienced together. Imagine walking along a narrow path through a dense forest. Alone, the journey might feel daunting, even frightening, but with companions by your side, the same path feels more navigable, even enjoyable. Their presence brings comfort and courage, and their insights illuminate parts of the journey you might not have noticed otherwise. This is the role of a Sangha. It transforms life's challenges from solitary trials into shared experiences of growth and understanding. Sharing your thoughts with others is not merely about seeking advice or solutions. It's about creating a space for connection. When you open up to someone you trust, a friend, a mentor, or a community, you're not only expressing your concerns but also inviting empathy and shared humanity into the conversation. Often, the simple act of being heard is enough to dissolve some of the heaviness of overthinking. It's as though the very act of sharing disperses the fog, allowing clarity to emerge. Joining a meditation group or connecting with like-minded individuals can be a powerful way to experience the benefits of a Sangha. In such spaces, you're surrounded by people who share your values and aspirations. Their presence serves as a reminder that you're part of something larger, a collective effort to navigate life with mindfulness and compassion. Whether it's through practicing meditation together, discussing teachings, or simply sharing stories, these connections create a sense of belonging that soothes the mind and uplifts the spirit. If joining a formal group feels intimidating or impractical, the essence of the Sangha can still be found in smaller, more personal interactions. A heartfelt conversation with a close friend can be just as meaningful. When you take the step to share your thoughts and worries, you're creating an opportunity for connection and understanding. In turn, this openness often encourages others to share their own struggles, fostering a cycle of mutual support. It's also worth noting that the Sangha isn't limited to those we know personally. Sometimes, we find support and inspiration through books, teachings, or online communities. Listening to the words of a teacher, reading about someone's journey, or engaging with a virtual community can provide a sense of connection and guidance. Even from afar, these interactions remind us that the wisdom of the Sangha extends beyond physical boundaries, offering support whenever and wherever we need it. The act of seeking support requires vulnerability, which can feel uncomfortable at first. We may worry about being judged or burdening others with our concerns. But vulnerability is also a source of strength. When we allow ourselves to be seen and heard, we create space for genuine connection. And in most cases, those we turn to are honored to offer their support, grateful for the chance to help. This exchange is what makes relationships meaningful. It's a reminder that we are here to support one another. In addition to lightening your mental load, the Sangha provides fresh perspectives. Often, when we're caught in cycles of overthinking, our thoughts become repetitive and narrow. Sharing these thoughts with someone else invites new insights. They may see solutions or offer encouragement that hadn't occurred to us. Their perspective can act as a mirror, reflecting our situation in a new light and helping us break free from the confines of our own mind. Over time, being part of a supportive community teaches us to approach challenges with greater resilience and trust. The knowledge that we have people to lean on allows us to face difficulties with more courage. We begin to internalize the strength of the Sangha, carrying its wisdom and support with us even when we're alone. This is the lasting gift of connection. It becomes a source of inner strength that endures beyond the moments of shared experience. As you reflect on your own life, consider the ways you can engage with a Sangha, whether formal or informal. Are there meditation groups, spiritual communities, or like-minded individuals you could connect with? Are there friends or mentors you can reach out to for a conversation? Even a simple gesture, sending a message, sharing a thought, or inviting someone for tea can be a meaningful step toward building or strengthening your own sense of community. Life's challenges can feel overwhelming when faced in isolation, but within a sangha, those same challenges become opportunities for growth, supported by the wisdom and compassion of others. The Buddhist teachings remind us that while the path of mindfulness and peace is deeply personal, it is not meant to be walked alone. Together, we can navigate the complexities of life with greater clarity, courage, and connection, finding solace in the shared journey. The teachings of the Buddha gently guide us to a profound truth. Peace is not something we chase in the outside world, but something we cultivate within. By mastering our minds, we free ourselves from the grip of overthinking and open the door to clarity, mindfulness, and growth. The practices we've explored together are not just tools. They are pathways to a more intentional and fulfilling life. Each small step you take toward applying these teachings is a step toward a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. As the Buddha wisely said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. This is your invitation to begin, right here, right now. Perhaps you'll choose to set aside time for gratitude. Visualize your worries drifting away like leaves on a river, or simply take a few mindful breaths in the middle of your day. Whichever practice resonates with you most, let it become a small but powerful part of your routine. A reminder that transformation begins with intention. Life is not about perfecting these practices or expecting immediate results. It's about showing up with patience and kindness, even when the path feels challenging. Each moment you spend nurturing your awareness and letting go of what no longer serves you is a moment of growth. And over time, these moments build a life rich in presence, resilience, and peace. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these practices speaks to you the most? Have you tried similar approaches? Or is there something new you're excited to explore? Share your reflections in the comments below. Your words could inspire someone else to take their first step toward mindfulness. Thank you for spending this time with us and for being part of this journey. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with more teachings and insights. Together, we can continue to support one another in finding peace amidst the noise. Remember, each moment is a chance to begin again. Start today, start now, and know that every step you take is one of courage and growth. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.